Good evening. It's 5 o'clock, and it's time for our February 11th, 2025 meeting of the Tehachapi Unified School District Governing Board. Ms. Barnes, roll call, please.
President Kaminsky,
Here.
Vice President Kelly,
Here.
Clerk Wood. Here. Trustee Cooper,
Here.
Trustee Christensen,
Here. Trustee
Napier absent, Trustee Sweeney absent, Superintendent Francis Lynch,
Present.
and I'm Deanna Barnes.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. To lead us in the flag salute and a moment of silent reflection, we have Mrs. Jennifer Butler, the Coordinator of Instructional Support and Improvement.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Ms. Butler. Next agenda item is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Kelly, make the motion.
It was motioned by Vice President Kelly and seconded by Trustee Cooper. The board approved the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any noes? Motion carries 5-0. Recognition of Capturing Kids' Hearts student greeters. Superintendent Lynch.
Thank you to our Capturing Kids' Hearts greeters. This month's greeters are from Tompkins Elementary School. Tonight they are Cameron Mumma, Bethany Mumma, Remy Bradley, Milo Bradley, and Jude Bradley. And they're right here in our front row. I told them to make sure they got a cookie.
Again, thank you, Tompkins students and parents, for coming out in the cold weather and being our greeters.
Oh, there they go.
Yeah, they had to grab some cookies.
It's important.
Next item is public comments on closed session. Closed session item is hearing to consider readmission after pupil expulsion, Education Code Sections 48916 and 35146, student case number 2023-2024, number 3. and it is 5:06.
Just didn't realize this where the agenda sounds so pretty. The same day? Yeah, oh my goodness, that's nice, compact, you know, I like it when things are like all very organized. My attorney called me. Sarah was instrumental in getting. Actually, so I went
We got the weather later here, so let's see. Hey, you.
Then my girlfriend and I.
The following day might be a tough one.
Yeah. All right, we are returning to open session at 6:08. The report of action taken in closed session. Item 5.1, hearing to consider readmission after pupil expulsion, Education Code Sections 48916 and 35146, student case 2023-2024. By a stipulated agreement, the student is allowed to return on a suspended expulsion. And it's a roll call vote. Ms. Barnes?
President Kaminsky.
Aye.
Vice President Kelly.
Aye.
Clerk Wood.
Aye.
Trustee Cooper.
Aye.
Trustee Christensen.
Aye.
Trustee Napier absent. Trustee Sweeney absent.
Motion carries 5-0. Next item is general function. Number 1, superintendent update. Superintendent Lynch.
Good evening, everybody. Board members, members of the staff, and public. Glad to be here this evening. First, I would like to again take a moment to thank our CKH Capturing Kids Hearts greeters that were here tonight. They were here from Tompkins Elementary, so thank you for helping us out this evening. We appreciate it. All righty, our first hooray for this evening is that I was awarded a scholarship to attend the Capturing Kids Hearts program. And so they offer training a couple times a year and to access their website and use their tools, which we use pretty regularly around here. I have to attend a training. And so AXA sent me a letter offering a scholarship, and I applied and was granted one. So I'll be attending Capturing Kids Hearts training in Monterey on March 11th and 12th. And the good news is I'm going to try to do my best to save us some money and stay at home, because I have a house in Monterey County. So I'll be attending that very soon. Next item is that I took some time after our last board meeting, had an opportunity to go meet with Tehachapi city officials. So I met with our city manager and a good portion of his staff. Many of them are listed there. Not all, that's not an inclusive list, but pretty close. I met with Mr. Garrett, who introduced me to several of his team members and the chief of police. It's great to see that partnerships are already in existence between the district and the city, and I'm looking forward to working with these dedicated individuals to continue those. All right. We also participated in instructional rounds this month, went to several schools over the last few weeks, saw staff and students engaged in some great work, debriefed our visits with each of these teams. The visits have sparked some powerful conversations about the work we can continue and the areas where we may want to improve our practice. So I thank all the teachers that have been participating in the sites and for the powerful conversations we've had. So thank you. Next, I went to the AXA New Superintendent's Workshop. This was a 2-day workshop, Monday and Tuesday, the last week of January. The topics for the sessions I attended are listed there on the screen. It was held in Monterey, and it started with a team building dinner, which was very nice. Continued into the Superintendent Symposium, which continued on for the rest of the week. It was a great opportunity to learn about my new role, develop some connections. Even met several superintendents, a couple of new ones from Kern County. So Kern High School District has a new superintendent, and Panama Buena Vista's superintendent was there running a training. So it was good to meet some folks. Next one is the Superintendent Symposium. Our focus this year was leading with gratitude and embracing our purpose. That started on Wednesday with a panel discussion regarding the changing landscape of the superintendency. The politics are shifting rapidly from local to a national focus, which obviously is changing this position a little bit. That was the recurring theme for the week. I also attended some very good sessions there and some great keynotes, and I'm looking forward to applying all that I was able to glean from this amazing week of networking and learning. So I thank you for the opportunity to attend that. The other thing that happened in the last week, last Saturday, I believe it was, the 1st of February, we had a recruiting event hosted by Kern County Superintendent of Schools Office, and Dr. Romero and a couple of other folks attended that, Ms. Bowman and Ms. Fiskus. So hopefully we'll get some new staff from that opportunity.
Was that at KCSOS?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Alrighty, Teacher Professional Development Day, we did have a Teacher Professional Development PD Day scheduled for January 27th. That was preceded by about 30 hours of snow. And so we did have to reschedule that. And thankfully, we've already had an opportunity to get a new date. So we are now rescheduled for May 9th, and we've confirmed with our PD trainers, et cetera. And so we're all scheduled up. So looking forward to that. All right, our sports update. Freshman, sophomore boys basketball ended their league play 8-0, took the SYML league title. JV boys basketball finished league play with an overall record of 7-1 and are the league champions of the South Yosemite Mountain League. They finished the season 16-9 overall. Tri-South Yosemite Mountain League champions. Varsity boys basketball ended the regular season with a record of 16-8, 4-4 in league. They will start the playoffs on February 15th, this Saturday. Playoff brackets will be set on Thursday, and this is the best season varsity boys basketball has had since 2014. JV girls basketball won their final league game of the season and were undefeated. They took the league championship and are back-to-back league championships, league champions of the SYML. Included in their wins are a pair of 2- and 3-point wins with last-second defensive stops. Sophomores Lola Napier and Hayden Avila have led the team in points, steals, assists, and rebounds during league play. The team has grown and learned a lot of basketball over the last few weeks, with freshmen stepping in and playing a lot of minutes. Varsity girls basketball has clinched the league title for the 3rd straight season. They're currently 18-4 overall this season and are hoping for a home match for the first round of CIF playoffs. They're currently projected to be seed 6 in Division II. Brackets for playoffs will be announced on February 12th, with the first game scheduled to be played on February 14th. Corey Rodden and Jamie Niederbomer have been the leaders on the court after an injury caused their leading scorer, Riley Walden, to be out for most of the season. JV girls soccer finished second in league with a 7-2-1 record. Sophomore Kennedy Clark was the leading scorer with 15 goals this season. Olivia Omit, the goalie, had 10 shutout games this season. Varsity girls soccer entered Friday's match knowing a win or tie against South was needed to clinch the league title. South struck early, scoring twice in the first 10 minutes, putting us in a tough position, but we fought back, cutting the deficit to 2-1 just before halftime. With 15 minutes left, we found the equalizer and held strong to seal the title. Autumn Heeb delivered an unforgettable season, scoring both goals in our decisive tie against South. She also set a new single-season scoring record with 47 goals. We finished league play with a 6-0-2 record, bringing our overall record to 15-5-4. Now we turn our focus to the CIF playoffs with our first-round match set for Saturday, opponent still to be determined. Girls wrestling has almost completed its second year as a program at Tehachapi High School. They increased the number of student athletes by about 10. They're one of the few Kern County teams to fill a full team roster. Their dual record for the season is 6-1. Back-to-back league champions. This week, the girls will participate in the Division II tournament. Those that qualify will move into CIF Masters and then on to state. Boys wrestling will head to divisionals at Farmersville High School Friday, February 14th and 15th. Any boys who qualify at divisional will move on to the Masters, which will take place at Selland Arena in Fresno. THS Cheer finished their competition season this past weekend. They placed first in many competitions this season and qualified for state. They competed at the state level, placing 3rd overall, and they hit 0 as a team. I'm guessing 0 is probably a pretty good score. Okay, enrollment report. Next sign there, okay. Here are the enrollment numbers for week 22 of the school year. Overall, there are 91 fewer students than last year for this week of school. However, we currently have about 80 more students than we did at the end of last school year. And then next is the attendance update. District-wide attendance for week 22 of the school year has dropped to 88.7%, down from 90.56% last year. And jointly, what these two slides mean is that last week for week 22 ADA was at about 3,939 students. And for week 22 of this year was at 3,768. We had roughly 170 fewer students in attendance this year than last year. However, the year-to-date average for this year is only slightly less than that of last year. And the end of January and early February so far have seen an uptick in flu, both type A and type B. So we've had a lot of kids sick in the last 3 weeks. So that's our attendance. Upcoming events and dates are there, and I won't read the whole slide to you, but if you're interested in anything, I'll probably see you at some of them. Okay. And then, thank you very much for your attention. And finally, our last slide is our bulletin boards, this month done by the Special Education Department. So to present the boards, our Special Education Director, Tay Mock.
Good evening, trustees, Vice President Kelly, President Kaminsky, and Superintendent Lynch, and the members of the public. I don't want to take all of the time to go over this, but I want to introduce our athletes, as well as our coaches and our coordinator, Ms. Mackey, to come up here. So, Ms. Mackey, do the honors.
You want me to introduce it?
Yes.
Okay, so we are happy to be here at your board meeting. Thank you for having us today. Thank you, board, for having us here at the board meeting today. These are some of our athletes. We've got Alex Del Toro, George Del Toro, and one of my coaches, Hayden Sutton. With us also is Mr. Tondro from Tompkins Elementary School. He also runs a unified program at his elementary school. So we have unified sports, or the unified program through Special Olympics. We have it at 3 of our 4 schools in the 3 schools in the district. We have it at Golden Hills with our young athletes. Mr. Tondro is running his, and he's got some plans and some things coming up, which he'll share with you. And then we have it at the high school. We've branched out this year. We used to just have unified sports, and unified sports is where we bring students with and without intellectual disabilities together to play on the same team as teammates. I've totally appreciated my coach, Hayden Sutton, coming out all year long and being there for me, coaching his team. And what did you like most about unified sports?
You know what? I like basketball and stuff.
Basketball and stuff. That's awesome. Give me 5. Alex, what about you? What do you like most about unified?
President.
Being the president. Alex Del Toro and Hayden Sutton are the president of our unified leadership group that we have started this year. What do you like most, Hayden?
I like being able to teach kids how to play the sports.
Nice. Hayden is an avid basketball player. Played last year on our freshman team. Took a break from it this year, but I told him he couldn't take too much of a break, so he needed to come and coach with us. Paul, do you want to talk about what you've got going on at your school?
So, at our school, we have currently going kind of like a leadership group, similar to what she has going, where a group of 5th graders come every Tuesday into my classroom. They are learning ASL, they're learning about disabilities, and they're playing socially with all my students there. We also have a field day that we're going to work with the high school with. The high school team, their team is going to come to our elementary school, and they're going to lead a field day with all the 5th grade and kindergartens right now, and my class and the K2 class. And then we also have a fundraiser coming up, but that's all we got going at Tompkins. And with that, we will become a unified champion school as soon as those events are done.
So we actually have both schools, both Tompkins Elementary and Tashby High School, has been recognized by Special Olympics as unified championship schools. He got his banner before we got ours, but we got our money before he got his, so it all works out. That's right. So thank you very much. Thank you for spotlighting unified championship schools.
Thank you for your support.
And thank you. Thank you, board, for all your support.
Thank you, Tay. Before I forget, let the record show that Trustee Sweeney arrived at 6:16 after a visit with their dentist. Better her than me, but I'm tomorrow. Let's see. TAT update. There's Ms. Bowman. With no sling.
I can do all kinds of things now. Not all things, but lots of things. All right. Good evening, President Kaminsky, members of the school board, interim superintendent Lynch, and members of the public. My name is Val Bowman, and I am president of the Tehachapi Association of Teachers. The past 23 days have been a whirlwind of information, like a quiet coup, coming out of Washington, D.C., and one that is very disturbing. The one that is very disturbing is the potential closing of the U.S. Department of Education. Public educators understand education has the potential to create equality and economic freedom for everyone. Rumors, misinformation, and conjecture abound, with many panicked about this news, but TAT wanted to give kudos to Hojat and Tazari for speaking with me last week about where California education may find itself if the worst happens. Thank you for your time and patience as I asked so many what-if questions and how might this work questions. The discussion that you and I had will be shared at Representative Council next week. The world is filled with truths about soaring prices and events that the common person can't control. But in TUSD, there's something that can be controlled. Oh, I lost my spot. Now that the superintendent applications have been reviewed and filtered, the time has come to prepare for interviews. At least I hope that's what's coming up next. As we do at each meeting, TAT requests a seat at the interview table and for equal access to be given to CSEA and the confidential management team. We understand the superintendent is an employee of the school board, and it is unlikely or expected the units would have a vote, but a presence is important. After all, this person not only would lead the district and be in charge of all the schools and the programs and everything else, but we have a desire, all three teams, is that we want to work collaboratively with this person and respectfully with all the teams, everybody working together respectfully. Therefore, asking for a collaborative approach to this process is necessary. I'm sorry, I'm speaking like I'm really cold. That's because I am. After all, everyone in the district is on the same team and wants the same results. Students who are engaged in their academics progress through their education while developing the necessary skills to be supportive and successful so that they may become contributing members of society. Thank you for your time and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. CSEA update. Is anyone here from CSEA? Moving on to board communications. Any board member like to start? I know Clerk Wood and I have something to say, but
You can say it.
I'll say it. So before Ms. Mackey leaves, Trustee Wood and I were at the special education basketball event at your unified game. And first of all, thank you for inviting us. And it was just, it put a smile on our faces. The pep band was there. As a referee that kind of maintained organization. But the best part to me, and I'm sure it is with Trustee Wood, is the look on those kids' faces, the utter joy as they were playing. And Ms. Mackey, you're giving them high fives, and they're looking at you and giving you thumbs up because they did something well, and it was just a pleasure to attend that.
Thank you. We hope to spread the word and spread the fun time of Unified Championship Schools to other high schools in Kern County. So if anybody here has connections with other high schools in Kern County, tell your friends about Unified Championship Schools and how much fun it really was, because it was a blast.
Yep. Thank you for that. Anyone else with anything? Moving on to public comments. Public comments will be allowed. The board president will recognize any member of the audience wishing to speak on items not on the agenda but directly related to school business. Pursuant to Board Bylaw 9323, the board may limit comments to no more than 3 minutes per person. Public comment will also be allowed on each specific action item prior to board action. The president may allot time to those wishing to speak, but no action will be taken on matters presented, and no discussion of non-agenda items will occur. If appropriate, the president or any member of the board may direct that the matter be referred to the superintendent's office for placement on a future agenda. I have one goldenrod sheet from Janine Adams. No.
Hello, Janine Adams. I am kind of new to Tehachapi. I've only been here 7 years, but I've been in the greater Kern County area for the last 30 years. My children grew up in Kern County schools, and I myself, and I bet most of the people on this board, attended public school. And I am part of the Public Schools Strong organization, which is a national organization of parents, teachers, and concerned citizens that feel strongly about our public schools and how they are funded. And let's face it, public schools are the great equalizers in our communities. I went to a high school much like this city of Tehachapi. In 1976, I graduated from high school in Palm Springs, of all places, that only had one high school, just like Tehachapi does. And the beautiful thing about that is that the rich kids, the poor kids, all the kids from the town went to one high school, and that is just so important. After we leave high school, a lot of times people become more segregated, if you would. And so I just feel that the high school experience and our public schools are so important. That's why I've joined this organization, Public Schools Strong, to support our public schools. And I'll be emailing each one of you my contact information if you have any other questions, or if you have any parents or teachers or concerned citizens such as myself that would like to join our education. We want to be here to support you on the board. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. Are there any other public comments? Consent agenda. In order to promote efficient meetings, the board may bundle a number of items and act upon them together by a single vote through the use of a consent agenda. Consent items shall be items of a routine nature and items for which board discussion is not anticipated and for which the superintendent recommends approval. When any board member requests the removal of an item from the consent agenda, the item shall be removed and given individual consideration for action as a regular agenda item. Is there any item on the board agenda that a board member wishes to pull for separate consideration? Do I have a motion that the board approve the consent agenda as presented?
Kelly, make the motion.
Me too.
It was motioned by Vice President Kelly, seconded by Trustee Cooper, that the board approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Superintendent, you have, your first item is first read of Board Policy 6173, Education for Homeless Children. Superintendent Lynch.
We do have this board policy due for first read this evening. It is in our, sorry about that. We do have this for first read this evening. Board Policy 6173 refers to education of homeless children. We're required to review and adopt this board policy every 3 years, and that deadline approaches. So there are no structural or physical changes to the board policy that we currently have in place, so it's just first read this time. You'll see it again for a second read and approval upcoming board meeting.
Thank you. Item 2, approval of the agreement between ProSolve Quest Summer Program 2025 and Tehachapi Unified School District.
Yeah, I think you're on
Oh,
business, not
yeah.
superintendent, sorry.
See, I moved my cursor down and it highlights where I stop. Okay, first read, student attendance calendar 2025, 2026.
Alrighty, so attached to the agenda is the updated calendar for the 25-26 school year. This has been reviewed and vetted with our calendar committee, consisting of district personnel, TAT, and CSEA representatives.
Any questions or comments from the board or the public?
I do.
Vice President Kelly.
I'm sure we're still working on a theme and how that's going to go, but my concern is we've got both those days, the third week away from the end of the school year.
I think you're talking about the same thing I was
Okay.
going to ask, but what is it?
Are we thinking we're going to focus on 25, 26? Are we going to review what we did? Do we have any idea?
He's talking about the
The
teacher
PD
work
days,
days.
PD days in late May. I know this year we had them split and weather and other things got in the way. And so I'm just trying to figure out, I know there's a reason, it just looks weird.
Okay, I would have to find that out. I'd have to ask. I wasn't on the committee, so.
Mrs. Paxton, a general idea.
Okay.
So the last time we were negotiating with TAT, that was part of the negotiations, and that is in the collective bargaining agreement, that those 2 days would be together and be towards the end of the school year, because a lot of trainings that we provide, they're 2-day trainings, and it's really difficult to implement those, one in October, one in January, and sometimes we offer a boot camp in the summer, but that's an optional training, and it becomes a burden for everybody to try and get everybody on the same page. So that's why it looks like that.
I appreciate that. So it's going to look that way for a while.
In
until it-
perpetuity until it changes in the
Thank you very
contract.
much. Appreciate that.
And do they have to be right after Memorial Day weekend? That's more for the superintendent, I think, but that's my concern. Having been a principal for many years, it would frustrate me greatly when a teacher had a dentist appointment on a PD day that was 6 months, scheduled 6 months ahead of time, and they had the calendar. Oh, thank you, Dr. Romero.
So I'm part of the calendar committee. It's myself, Mrs. Liebengood, representatives from elementary and the secondary. We attached them to a break because historically it works better for parents than if we were to put them 2 days in the middle of the week. It creates conflict. This allows them to take that extended time with their family during the holidays. We're going to get attendance from teachers, whether it's attached to the weekend or not. We do it all the time. We have, a group of teachers that it's just more convenient during those days to set medical appointments up because they don't want to miss time with their students. We understand we can't please anyone, but we really wanted to take the effort and look at what would be best for families. And we understand staff may not be there, but we always offer them the opportunity to get the information and make it up.
All right, well, if I was a parent, I would be thrilled. But
I have a question. Last year, we had asked to try, because I know that the calendar is related to bargaining, obviously. And once an agreement is agreed upon, we can't make a change to the calendar. So last year, some of us felt that we were forced to have to approve the calendar because we did not want teachers to go through bargaining again. And the question that was brought up last year, is there any other opportunities that we have looked at? Because speak to your point for parents, the every other Wednesday is very hard for childcare and parents. And so we had talked about maybe possibly looking at that last year. And obviously we couldn't because bargaining had already been processed and we didn't want to redo that. And I feel like it's headed that same direction this year, obviously. So what can we do to be more proactive as far as like trying to get a better understanding or some input on those every other Wednesdays?
Yeah, we're already looking and discussing it. Some
Okay.
schools offer a late start That's being looked at.
Awesome.
But we are looking at it. Right now, it is still part of the bargaining language. That wasn't something that either group came to the table to change.
Okay.
You know, it goes back to, it's not always PD. Teachers have that time to plan, to do any extra stuff one of those days, and then one of them does belong to the district. So it's a split shift of those days. It's just determining, do we do a late start? What's the benefits of that? You know, pros and cons again. You're going to have people miss. You're going to have people not show up. So it's just trying to juggle everything.
Awesome.
But
I was just
we
curious
are
if it was looked
looking
at. Yeah.
into it. Any other questions?
I just have maybe a suggestion. My granddaughters go to Condit Elementary in Claremont, and Claremont Unified, it is every Wednesday.
Yep.
And I'm not suggesting that.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting the number we have here, if they could be in a row, a little more.
Yeah. And we also looked at shortened Wednesdays every Wednesday.
Okay.
Our early Wednesday, or late starts. So
Yeah.
we're looking at everything, but I will
Yeah.
bring that up too.
Because usually our contract's not settled at this time of year, but this year it was done
Done
early.
early.
So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay.
Romero.
I also looked into other school districts to see what they did too, and I found so many of them did every Wednesday, you know, down in the, I don't know, in the Lancaster area, every Wednesday, where my daughter's kids go to school in San Diego. I asked her to look around, and they were all every Wednesday too. So I just wanted to see what other people were doing, you know, so I could bring something back, and that's what I'm bringing back.
We might just put all of those in a fishbowl and just pull them up.
Yeah, I'm wondering though if those school districts are, hey, there's a school district in Kern County, and they mispronounce the name. And they do it every other. Why can't we do it every other? I'm just, anyway, thank you, Dr. Romero.
You're welcome.
All right, number 3, California School Boards Association Official 2025 Delegate Assembly Ballot Region 12-B, Kern County. Superintendent Lynch.
Thank you. You should have the official ballot there, I think, in your folder today. This will require action on the part of the board to officially vote on delegate assembly representatives for Kern County. The ballot you have should have 2 names on it, and they are both incumbents. The ballot asks for up to 4 names.
I feel like am I the only one that has a ballot?
Yep, yeah. Yeah.
So do we need to make a motion?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Well, we would open it for nominations if you want to, if somebody wants to nominate.
I'll go ahead. Is there anyone that would like to nominate someone for the CSBA 2025 Delegate Assembly?
I'm going to nominate myself.
Anyone else? So we have 2 incumbents on the ballot, Jim Beltran from McFarland Unified and Leanne Cook from Rosedale School District, and Tracy Kelly from Tehachapi Unified. And we can vote for no more than 4, so since we have 3, I will make the motion to vote yes on all 3 candidates.
I'll second the motion.
It was motioned by President Kaminsky and seconded by Vice President Kelly to approve the 3 names nominated for the CSBA 2025 Delegate Assembly. And it's not a roll call vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Oh, it is.
where you can't see it.
Oh, there it is. They're really
No,
tiny
it's not
down
here.
there. It says it. I see it too.
Where?
Above financial impact.
Yeah, it does say roll call.
You're on the wrong spot, dude.
No, I say, now we have to close, and it is moved by the board and that, and then it was motioned, and
Oh,
what we
Mark.
did, and down there is the roll call.
Yeah.
All right. Ms. Barnes, roll call vote.
President Kaminsky.
Aye.
Vice President Kelly.
Aye.
Clerk Wood.
Aye.
Trustee Cooper.
Aye.
Trustee Christensen.
Aye.
Trustee Napier absent. Trustee Sweeney.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6-0. Business, Mr. Intezari. Number 1, information item, proposal to increase the walking distance radius for district home-to-school transportation.
Thank you, President Kaminsky. So the district is required to have an approved transportation plan before April 1st. So typically we bring it to the board in March. We've had a very successful transportation schedule that has been really working. We have provided transportation, home to school transportation at no cost. But we have had a bit of an issue with some wait lists in particular areas for secondary. So this isn't necessarily bringing up the transportation plan. We plan to formally bring that to you all in March. But what we wanted to bring to your attention was a request to change the walking distances specifically for the middle school grades. Currently, our walking distances for K through 5, so elementary, is 3/4 of a mile. So if you live beyond that, you're eligible for transportation. You can get a bus pass. 1 mile for middle school and 2 miles for high school. Due to the middle school, so 1 mile from JMS essentially means that if you live past West Park, not too far from here, you get a bus pass. And that's about almost a mile from Tucker, right? That's not very far. And so when we were exploring these, these have been this way for a while. The issue that we've had is because of the free bus passes, we have a lot of interest in them. That doesn't necessarily mean that they ride every day because not everyone necessarily needs that ride. But what we've experienced is a long wait list in Golden Hills for secondary. And so what we're requesting is that in order to accommodate some of the wait lists that we had at secondary, looking to expand the walking distance just for middle school from 1 mile to 2 miles. That would essentially get us to from the school, because we don't really have a concern on the eastern side, right? Not so much on the northern side or the southern side. None of the stops would really change with our proposal to go from 1 mile to 2 miles. But essentially, we would be moving that boundary from West Park down to Tucker. So by Tucker Road, that is a little less than 2 miles. But just putting 2 miles just for, considering the whole radius, like the whole area. But we would essentially draw the line on the western side at Tucker Road. We feel that this would accommodate a big need in the Golden Hills area. It would allow us to make sure that, because our furthest stop from the middle school is about 12 miles away, and so that would just increase capacity for those further out from the school. We have recently implemented a bus pass system that started in January. So now, instead of just receiving a card that says bus pass, you can actually tap in, tap out. Parents can sign up for an app so they receive notifications of when the bus is in the range that they've designated at their bus stop, when it's arrived to the school, when their child has gotten off or getting on. And so it's been really helpful, but we are currently still working out a lot of the, just kind of issues with not particularly with the system, but making sure that every student has their bus pass, that if a student doesn't have their pass, that the bus driver can still record the rider and kinds of those things. So we're hoping that by next year, we'll have a better picture of what the applications for bus passes compared to the actual ridership looks like, and be able to make an informed decision on, how we're distributing the bus passes and the effectiveness. So we're just bringing this forward because although this is not a board policy and is covered under Administrative Regulation 3541, we certainly would like to bring our board into the loop, knowing that we serve students, and just for consideration, because the plan does need to be approved before April 1st, so we wouldn't want to kind of spring this on anybody. So that's why we bring it forward as an information item. I have Transportation Supervisor and State Certified Bus Driver Trainer, Ms. Denise Berry, with us to answer any particular questions or concerns you might have about transportation and the impact of this radius change.
Any questions from the board?
I have questions. You want to start?
Go ahead. Vice President Kelly.
Okay, and we do know that we have had a wait list every year, and I represent, just to remind everybody, Bear Valley. And as much as I may represent Bear Valley, I want to make sure that nobody north of the railroad tracks, south of Tucker, or Highline, or on the east side is going to be affected by this, because we're much denser in town than we are out there. And as much as I'd love everybody to Bear Valley to have a pass, we're a smaller number than in town. So that's my concern.
Okay. Yeah, certainly understand. And that's something that we spent a lot of time looking over. So I can tell you that Bear Valley does not have a wait list because we did add a route. So we're currently at 11, but just due to limitations, not just fiscally, but also staffing wise and our ability to promise that those buses and those route times, will be met. We are kind of stuck at 11. Really the only wait list we have is for secondary at the Golden Hills, in the Golden Hills community. So in looking at the distances, we would not be changing because we would still capture the Mountain Meadows community. That stop would stay the same. We still have a stop. What is the area near the highway that we talked about that would potentially be unsafe? What's that area called? Out by the airport?
Yeah, that's.
It doesn't have an area. The area out by the airport. Yes. So we're in the 2-mile radius isn't necessarily like a hard line. If it's not safe to walk to the school, we do make adjustments. We're certainly willing to make sure not to let kind of the rules dictate, whether, if it's not safe to get to school, we do have to do something. And it's, we're only really focused on the western side of that boundary. You wouldn't really see any changes from the north because beyond that, there's really not a lot of residents. Same thing on the south end, same thing on the east end. The east end, it would get us to where the Benz field is. And so there's just not a lot of residents there. We're just looking to try to pick up the people that do have a need further away. Golden Hills is a target area, but also potentially any other riders that might have been dissuaded from applying for a bus pass because they know that the chances are slim or that it's difficult. So this would at least increase our capacity. So, not to say that everyone doesn't deserve a ride to school, but it's just because of the proximity, we're hoping to make a bigger impact just by increasing that. But we would not be, compromising anybody's ability to get to school, walk to school, or anything like that.
Thank you.
Do we know about how many students would be affected by this, and those students that currently have a bus pass, how often are they using their bus pass?
We couldn't give you an exact number because, again, the bus pass system is something relatively new, but there is a significant difference between the number of bus passes issued in that area and the number of riders consistently riding in that area. Significantly less. Would you say about 10% of the bus passes that are issued in that community that would be taken out from going from 1 mile to 2? About 10%. So we don't have specifics, but it's just from back of the envelope math, it's very few actual riders on a regular basis.
I only have a question to that point. If there is there going to be an opportunity for somebody to apply in those areas that do significantly need it, because that turns a 20-minute walk into a 45-minute walk. And, you know, when it's really cold outside and they don't have the option to get a ride, is there going to be an opportunity? Like, I don't know how you would, like, really fine-tune that, maybe based on how often they use it, but my concern would be, like, those that genuinely need it don't have access to it now.
Yeah, certainly. So the change to the walking distance would disqualify someone that may currently have a bus pass that uses it and, like you said, needs it. That could be, you know, but those would be the same people that when they go from middle school to high school, they would no longer be eligible for a bus anyway. So they're going to kind of run into that problem either way. So, you know, we're not solving all the problems. We are exchanging problems a little bit, but we think that this would really meet a significant need with a minimal impact on the other side. But there certainly is an impact. This, you know, do we expect to hear from some parents? Of course, you know, but we are trying our best to service as many students as possible, because that's kind of the issue with the taking away the charging for bus passes has been that a lot of people can sign up. The buses have limited capacity, so we have to wait a few weeks into the school year to know, okay, what is the rhythm of that route? How many riders do we actually have? And then the concern turns into, let's say it's a rainy day and everyone that did get a bus pass now wants to get on the bus. Now we're at capacity and we don't want to be leaving kids, you know, sorry, there's no seat for you, right? That's what we want to avoid. And so there does have to be this kind of way to filter out who really needs a bus pass and who doesn't. We don't feel comfortable saying that, like, we need to charge until, if that was kind of the hurdle, because that is one of the options that we discussed, but without real concrete data to be able to point to this will alleviate a problem. I mean, we've gotten some requests from parents. I mean, the CBO loves to hear parents begging to be charged. I love that. But, you know, we certainly understand that there is a need. Not everyone can afford it, even if it's $2 a day, right? I mean, that still adds up to hundreds of dollars, and that's just per student, right? If you have 4 kids at home, I mean, you're bumping up against $1,000. And, I mean, it's a good deal for a free ride for 180 days, but it's still expensive, right? And there is an expectation that we help kids get to school. So, you know, we just think that this would help many more students than it would, you know, prevent them from getting to school.
Perfect. I still think there should be an option, though, based on, because I will tell you, I know they'll run into it during high school, but a 6th grader walking to school and a 9th grader walking to school are very, very different. Their maturity level, their observation skills, like a lot. So I just want to make sure that we have that option for those 6th graders when they apply, if that's the case may be, and you look back and you're like, look, they're using this every single day versus, you know, Cassie over here who's only using it like twice a year because it rained outside, if that's an option.
No, I certainly understand, and I think that's why that was reduced down from 2 miles to 1 mile. The issue is that when the state changed the way they funded transportation and came up with these rules, specifically the prioritization, they actually do address a need at the 6th grade level. So being a 6th grader, you are prioritized to get on a route. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's guaranteed, but we do at the beginning when the survey goes out from instructional services for the income verification, and it provides an opportunity to elect to apply for a bus pass. Then it does explain that if you come from a socioeconomic disadvantaged household, or if you are in grades TK through 6, you get priority. So that the state, because they have kind of created their own system of priority, it kind of makes it difficult to be able to expand that, because and especially also with the free ridership, you know, because we get a lot of applications, and so it's hard to really be able to dictate who really is at need, when is it okay for this particular person, you know, even though they're, you know, it is kind of hard with, because the walking distances are pretty distinct, and the state has kind of decided what the prioritization should be. What I've learned through our community and dealing with parents, typically upset parents at first, but I think they see what we're trying to do is that we've learned that, you know, the people that need transportation aren't necessarily just because they can't afford it. You know, usually it's because they do have jobs and they do have schedules that conflict and make it hard to take their kids to school, or mostly pick up their kids from school is why they want access to transportation, because they need it. And so, we can try to see what we can do, but we do want to be able to offer, and that 2-mile radius, Tucker is really about 1.7 miles from Jacobson Middle School, so it's not really the whole boundary, because there are a small sliver of houses on the other side of Tucker getting to, is it Meadow? What's the name of that street?
La Colima, that's really the edge of the housing.
Okay, I've only lived here 4 years, so my apologies. But yeah, so there are some homes. That's why we picked Tucker, because it's a very distinct. You know, what we didn't want is to have a line where you're 50 feet away from someone that does qualify for a bus pass, right? So, if we picked up on the other side of the street, then you would qualify. You know, that's kind of what we were trying to avoid. And so, certainly understanding that there are challenges, but that is kind of the downside, and why it was so important for us to bring it to your attention before we bring a plan seeking approval.
Yeah, it troubles me about, sixth graders. Trustee Sweeney mentioned ninth graders. 10th, 11th, 12th graders probably still walk those 2 miles. And my main concern is with the sixth graders. And I have a proposal. I really like some numbers, some real numbers about, and just in those routes, we don't need anything from Bear Valley or Stallion, but those routes that would be affected, if the drivers for 1 week, preferably right around now, when the weather's cold, because that's when they're going to get their ride on the bus. How many are riding the bus each, before to school and from school? And it would make me 5 days, and then how many passes are on those routes? And a little more work for Denise, but we really need more. I need more numbers. I won't speak for the rest of the board, but and it'd be nice if we could make an exception for sixth graders, or change the distance to 1.5 miles.
That would still disqualify
Okay.
a lot of the people
So
that I
you've
think
looked
you're
at that.
trying to be concerned
Okay.
of. Yeah. The
And I'm more worried
range
about
was tough.
the JMS students that are like Cherry Lane toward Tompkins.
Those
Curry.
wouldn't be impacted. Those are all going to be within the range.
The Cherry Lane stop is within walking distance for young kids. It's a bit less than
So you're talking, well, we were only asking for the middle school, but are you asking for data about the route for Tompkins?
No,
Okay.
just the middle school.
Okay. We can get that.
I'd appreciate it. You two are all-stars. Thank you, Ms. Berry. Is anything else? Thank you. Item 2, approval of the agreement between ProSolve Quest Summer Program 2025 and Tehachapi Unified School District. Mr. Antazari.
Thank you, President Kaminsky. The district would like to enter into a service agreement with ProSolve for the Quest Summer 2025 program for students involved in the summer program. The cost of the program is $29,400, which includes all materials, training, and facilitation support. This would be funded by the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program, and we seek your approval for this service agreement.
Any questions or comments from the board or the public? I think anything that, well, basically, what is this, what grade range?
The product had said K through 8, but Expanded Learning serves K through 6. So,
Okay.
which is why
Anything
Changed it.
to make summer school fun, and this like that would be fun for a lot of kids, I'm all for.
It looks fun.
Dr. Porter? No, I just from the description here.
No, we get a lot of positive feedback about the summer program that Dr. Porter has going on at the TEC. There's a lot of applicants, a lot of people get excited. I even get personal text messages just wanting to know when the sign up goes, when it goes up, because their kids have, just want to go into it so bad. They've looked at really exciting things. Some of it we'd have to unfortunately turn down. Like there was like a laser tag kind of system. But unfortunately, kids running around in the dark with guns is just not really something we're interested in. But certainly open to making the program as exciting as possible.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the agreement between ProSolve Quest Summer Program 2025 and Tehachapi Unified School District as presented?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
It is motion by trustee Sweeney and seconded by trustee Cooper that the board approve the agreement between ProSolve Quest Summer Program 2025 and Tehachapi Unified School District. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Item 3, approval of declaring certain district property as surplus obsolete at the DO, THS, JMS, and Golden Hills. Mr. Intezari.
Thank you, President Kaminsky. The sites you listed would like to declare the listed items surplus. They have no estimated value. We seek your approval to dispose of these items.
Any questions or comments from the board? Thank you for the pictures, or thank the sites for the pictures. Very informative. Do I have a motion to approve oops.
No motion.
Yeah, I know it's a roll call, but I got to read the, do I have a motion to declare certain district property as surplus obsolete as presented?
Kelly, make the motion. Kelly,
It
a
was-
second.
It was motion by trustee Cooper, seconded by Vice President Kelly, that the board approve of declaring certain district property as surplus obsolete at the DO, THS, JMS, and Golden Hills. Ms. Barnes?
President Kaminsky.
Aye.
Vice President Kelly.
Aye.
Clerk Wood. Aye. Trustee Cooper.
Aye.
Trustee Christensen.
Aye.
Trustee Napier absent. Trustee Sweeney.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Intezari. Mrs. Paxton, Instructional Services. Item 1, information, an item, request for extended field learning experiences.
You were quicker than I was getting my papers together. Okay. Per Board Policy 6153, all field trips that extend 100 miles or more beyond the boundaries of the school district shall be subject to the approval of the superintendent. Listed for the board's information is the superintendent's approval of the following field trips. Tehachapi High School's agricultural class to the International Agri Center for the World Ag Expo in Tulare, California on February 11th. Tehachapi High School JV mathletes to Silver Valley High School mathletes competition in Yermo, California on February 19th. Tehachapi High School's FFA members to FFA meeting at Tulare Union High School in Tulare, California on February 22nd. Tehachapi High School's band to Porterville High School Band Festival in Porterville, California on March 7th. Tehachapi High School varsity mathletes team to Bishop Union High School mathletes competition in Bishop, California on April 2nd. Tehachapi High School's FFA members to State FFA Convention in Sacramento on April 3rd through the 6th. And finally, Jacobson Middle School's 8th grade class to Six Flags Magic Mountain for incentive promotion trip in Santa Clarita, California on June 9th.
Any questions or comments from the board? How many FFA members do we have going to Sacramento?
2.
That's exciting for them. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Seeing no other questions or comments, number 2, local control and accountability plan mid-year report.
Okay, I'm going to let Mr. Crum bring up my presentation. Okay, and you can go to the next slide. So just a reminder that the Local Control Accountability Plan is a 3-year plan that outlines the school district's goals. Within those goals, there's action items that are written and funds allocated to those actions to support the goal. And then all within the LCAP plan is metrics to measure progress on the goals. This is the first year of this plan. If you recall, you approved it in June. And so we're at the mid-year, and at the mid-year, I'm required to provide just kind of a status update. Where are we with the metrics that we have? And so also, at this time of the year, I start gathering input from educational partners because I have to update the LCAP and bring it back for you guys to approve in June. Okay. And so just a reminder, Goal 1 really talks about what are the basic necessities that our students need in order to learn. So it talks about facilities, curriculum, and staffing. We also have technology because technology now is a staple. Lots of our textbooks, students prefer digital textbooks rather than the physical copy. And then we have TILA also outlined in this goal to give students an option, an alternative option for their education. And so on this slide, it talks about where are we on the progress on this goal. So TUSD has maintained consistent staffing levels, which is really kudos to Dr. Romero because she goes and recruits early on. And so many districts start the year with positions unfilled, especially in the area of special education, math, and science. And we have done pretty well in that area. Our materials are aligned to the standards. As you recall, we recently adopted math materials for K-8, and we're about to start that process for our math department at the high school. And currently we are looking at adopting new materials for TK because next year we'll have some 3-year-olds in TK and it's time to update those materials. Another metric that is in this goal is A through G completion rate. And unfortunately, when I look at the metrics, one of the tools I use is KIDS because the current integrated data system takes in a lot of information from our SIS system, iReady, and I'm able to kind of project what some of our data points are going to look like. So when I look at course enrollment, course completion, at this rate, it looks like our A through G completion rate is set to decline at about 4%. As for school facilities, the maintenance department uses a facilities inspection tool annually to look at are our facilities in good repair, and if they're not, what repairs need to be made. But all of our facilities are identified to be in good standing. And then another thing is we are constantly looking at how we can add a wide variety of courses for our students that help support their future endeavors. So we have some new courses at the high school that we're planning to offer next year that would include fashion design, fire science through Saracoso, and then also a new CTE pathway for child development to support students that are interested in going into education. Goal 2. So Goal 2 really talks about how can we maximize the effectiveness of teaching and increase learning. And so some of the actions around this goal or to support this goal are professional development, digital instructional resources. So our iReady program would be one of those digital instructional resources that we use to support learning. Bilingual support, our multi-tiered systems of support. So looking at what we can provide students when they're struggling to meet grade level standards. Before and after school tutoring, hands-on experiences that include our science trips to Mountain Park, when we've taken the kids to Catalina, and then also providing funds for teachers to take their students on field trips that relate to what they're teaching in the classroom or to go and visit a college or a career field that students might be interested in. Our academic incentives are in this school, so sometimes with students, you have to provide some incentives so that they want to work hard. So we have incentives for CASP and for iReady. AP and SAT testing is in here. This is the first year since COVID we've offered SAT tests within Tehachapi School District. Ms. Terry Boston, our district instructional coach, is listed in there. Our counselors are listed. Our CTIG coordinator, and then our release time for teachers on those every other Wednesdays that we talked about. And so how are we doing right now? So right now it looks like our students are projected to show about 8% growth in language arts, and that is a metric from iReady. iReady has a projected proficiency rate, but when we talked about the California School Dashboard, we know that that also is impacted by our participation rate. So right now, of the students that have completed our iReady assessment, we look like we're going to grow about 8% in ELA and 5% in math. Also, we recently adopted the California instructional materials to update the change in the California framework. And then also, one thing I think that is really something to celebrate is at this point, we actually have exceeded our goal for the college and career indicator. So right now, our seniors, 52% of them are identified as meeting that threshold. And so that's because we offer a lot of dual enrollment courses, we have a lot of CTE pathways, and so that really has helped that metric. And then, of course, a lot of these metrics we don't have at this time. We're right in the middle of summative LPAC testing, so we don't have reclassification data. We don't know the graduation rate. Our graduation rate is always very strong in Tehachapi, and AP testing hasn't occurred yet. So goal 3 has to do with social emotional, attendance, and student discipline. And some of the actions that are listed in this goal are PBIS, our in-school interventions, our school resource officer, our SEL intervention resources, capturing kids' hearts. We allocate funds to support that program here. The California Healthy Kids Survey provides data to support this goal. Transportation, like Mr. Entazari was talking about, because if we provide students with rides, they're more likely to come to school on a regular basis, just like Trustee Sweeney was talking about. If you're in the walking zone and it's really cold and you're a walker, you might not go to school that day, right? Social workers are listed in this school, intervention specialists. Our 5th grade camp, because 5th grade camp focuses on building relational capacity. School attendance review team, after school clubs for our elementary, family engagement events that we have. We have our 5th grade camp as one of the engagement events, and then transportation. And so how are we doing with this goal? So at this time, 31% of our students are identified as chronically absent. And that's actually a decline compared to last year, about 3.5%. Our suspension rate is a little bit higher than last year. Or I'm sorry, it declined about a little over 1%. So we're looking pretty good on suspensions. And TUSD already has an extremely low suspension rate. So it's a little bit difficult to maintain, honestly, because you might just have a year where you suspend 1 or 2 more kids and that will throw that off. Expulsion rate, low right now. But again, we have a low expulsion rate. I think last year we only had 1 full expulsion. So again, that's difficult to maintain. It's just kind of, you have to see what students do, right? And then assertive discipline. So assertive discipline means how many times students have gone to the office to see principal or vice principal, and it's been recorded in ARIES. And I pulled this number in January, and at that time we were at 256 incidents. Last year, at the end of the year, we were at 556 incidences. What's interesting, though, is We declined last year by about 13%, and we're on track to decline by approximately 8% this year. However, I mean, I know your background is in middle school and high school, and the end of the year is difficult. You can't always just double it, right? Because a lot of times students get that end of the year fever. But that's what we're projecting right now. And then parent and community engagement, we still have all of the groups that we previously had, and we're maintaining them. I know Superintendent Lynch, he's maintaining all of those groups. So it's important for us to have positive relationships with our families and get their input. I had a DLAC meeting last night to go over LPAC, and they had great suggestions. And then, of course, some of those metrics are not yet gathered. We're just starting California Healthy Kids Survey this month, and we don't have dropout and graduation rates at this time of the year. And so in the LCAP right now, like I had mentioned earlier, is I'm in the part where I'm going out to groups and gathering input and putting the data into our new template that you guys will see in June. Okay, and that is all I have for the mid-year.
I just have a comment going back to that calendar. So, yeah, you mentioned after, when the school's about out, the kids get, especially at the middle school, crazy. And so then with a 5-day weekend that the families are going to, and the students are going to have, that's going to be intensified. That
I actually disagree with that because we know that at the end of the year, a lot of students are absent more frequently, right? And the rigor of instruction tends to be less at the end of May because you're done with your state testing by that point. And we have the iReady testing window there. But then there's also a lot of those last couple days are filled with fun activities, right? You've got your graduation practices, you've got a lot of field trips, you have some field days. And so I think putting it there is actually works better for teachers and students. Plus, those are professional learning that helps them plan for that next year. And I think that's a good time for teachers to do that because a lot of teachers take it upon themselves to plan during the summer. And so if we want the professional development to inform their practices for the following year, now we've given them the resources. And when we do it in the fall, they've already set their plans.
I agree with you. And we'll keep a few teachers, less teachers, at least at JMS from my experience, to try to walk through a newly waxed hallway to get to their classroom and have a conflict with the custodians.
That's true.
But the teachers are going to have to be pretty creative to have some fun activities, and it is possible, hopefully. And the testing's got to be done by then. It should be, but
It should be, yes.
yes, they will. Too bad we can't tie testing into grades, then it would be a little easier.
Well, that would be motivation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Oops. Thank you for that. And information item capturing kids' hearts mid-year data report. Mrs. Paxton.
Okay, so Capturing Kids' Hearts, part of our partnership with Capturing Kids' Hearts, there's a survey component. And a couple years ago, we used to have another company that we partnered with. And we got rid of that company because we were already using Capturing Kids' Hearts, and this survey aligned more with our practices. And so we administer the Capturing Kids' Hearts survey 3 times a year, and it helps us to measure implementation of Capturing Kids' Hearts at a district level and also at a site level. Well, a site level, and then when I log in, I'm able to see it at elementary or secondary because I have a little bit more access, right? So I know Trustee Kaminsky was interested to see what our responses were for this. So right here, I have our district information. So we had about 33 district staff members that responded to the survey, 11 site leaders, and then about 149 teachers and staff members that responded. And this is the overall score for each area. And really when people log into the survey, they are asked questions, and it has to do with the Excel model from Capturing Kids' Hearts. And I know Superintendent Larson Everson went over that, but it was a long time ago, so I'm just going to briefly explain what the Excel model is. So Excel is basically an acronym. The E stands for engage, and that's, are we meeting and greeting students as they enter campus and classrooms, and are we getting to know our students and staff, just like we do here at the board meeting. Explore, are we sharing good things? Do we follow up with staff to address their needs in a timely manner? And do we really get to know our staff members more than just, I know that, Susie works at Tompkins and teaches 5th grade. We communicate, we have structures in place to affirm staff, address conflicts quickly, and hold staff accountable. And then empower. Staff and students feel empowered to monitor and deepen implementation of Capturing Kids' Hearts. And then launch. Do we use launches at district staff events and while in the classroom? And so you can see the baseline, that's Capturing Kids' Hearts model districts, and our score is on the left-hand side. So for district implementation, we're pretty close to a model district. And then you can see site leaders feel like, oh, there's room to grow. And then same with our teachers and staff members. Okay. And so this is our,
That's pretty concerning to me.
Well, it's interesting when you,
I've been with this district since 1995, and that's heard so many times that the district office is out of touch. I'm not saying it is now, but that survey.
Well, that is the perception, right? Is that there's room to grow in that area. And
you guys are out doing your instructional rounds, and so you're out at the campuses more than ever.
Yeah, and you don't really know what people are thinking when they take the survey because it's asking about the district as a whole, right? So yes, people see my office frequently at sites because we deal with instruction, but like Hojat's not in classrooms or Roxanne's not in classrooms. So that might be an opportunity later on to follow up with a more in-depth kind of question that asks about those types of things because of course we want our staff members to feel like they do have a positive relationship with us and that they can come to us and not that I just know that Miss Smith teaches 5th grade somewhere, that I actually know about Miss Smith. I know that maybe what her husband does, who her kids are, and those types of things because we want our staff members to feel valued. Okay, so this is the school data. And again, we had 33 staff members respond, 11 site members, and 159 teachers or staff members. And you can see that there are some bright spots for sure. So elementary student data is rather close to meeting the CKH model district. Culture and climate rated by staff is very high. And then culture and climate rated by site leaders. So site leaders are feeling like, hey, at my school, it's pretty darn good, right? Secondary students, definitely there's some room for growth there. And it's kind of interesting, is that because they don't spend all day with just one teacher? So definitely some questions there. I will say that elementary students, so 3rd through 5th grade students participated in the survey, and 72% of our students completed the survey. When we look at secondary participation, only 20% completed the survey. So we definitely don't have as many students participating. And we have quite a few parents that participated. We had 123 parents participate. And it's interesting because on the parent survey, we had in almost all areas, parent responses met or exceeded CKH expectations. So they're feeling like, hey, you know what? The school is a great place to be. They communicate with me regularly. My kid likes to go to school. They like their teachers. So at the home front, things are feeling pretty good. So strengths. So what came out of the survey, and I just pulled these from this because I can see each survey question. So these were the strongest areas, is that we do plan for and use engage activities to allow for connections and to build relational capacities with staff. We use good things all the time. We have a lot of social contracts. When we're in our adjunct cabinet meetings, we're doing good things. At our trainings, we always do good things. I know our principals do good things in their staff meetings and so forth. So we're modeling that behavior. Conflict is resolved quickly, and we use the social contract when appropriate. That was a high rating. And our leadership team utilizes the CKH discipline model for students to behave back into the classroom, and that's more of a site practice. And so for site leadership strengths, students are greeted when they enter the campus. We use engage activities with students and staff. Good things is used consistently, and collaborative decision-making happens on their campus. For teachers felt like they do greet their students at the door. They consistently use engage activities to increase connectivity. They accommodate the needs of students. They address conflict quickly, and they use nonverbal signals to aid with classroom management. If you look at any elementary classroom, that's always going on. Thumbs up, I agree, all of those. For campus staff, give personal encouragement to students. They feel like they have good relationships with students, and they believe that students can be successful, and our staff feel very hopeful about the future of our students. Okay, for elementary students, one thing I noted is that elementary has 6 areas that exceeded the CKH baseline. So there were 25 questions, and there were 6 that we exceeded. So students said that they have the opportunity to affirm one another. And a lot of times when I'm in classrooms, there's lots of structures to do that. A teacher might have like a poster and Post-its, and they'll give compliments about other students. Elementary students said, I'm comfortable talking to my teacher about problems, and my teacher treats me nicely, and I have a good relationship with them. Unfortunately, secondary did not exceed any of the CKH baseline, so a relative strength was, I like my teachers, and students reported that we have developed a social contract. And if you visit the high school and middle school, you'll see the social contracts in all of the classrooms. For families, they said, I feel welcome at my child's school. I feel that communication is consistent. My child likes going to school, and I feel like a partner with my child's school. And so areas of need. So although we have social contracts posted all over the place in every classroom, they're not being utilized to their fullest capacity. And so really, social contracts should be referenced every day. It should be a classroom management tool. There should be a rater. So on your social contract, if you have, I'm sure you guys have like respect up there. We would say, okay, today we really want to focus on respect, and we're going to have Vice President Kelly. He's going to monitor us, and he's going to do a hand signal every time, we're not being respectful. And some classes do have that, and they're great about it. I mean, it's very organic, and it just really is great. Implement a launch consistently. That was overwhelmingly an area of need. In classrooms, we're not seeing launches, and students are reporting that.
Is there a way for teachers to share what they do with each
Yes.
other?
So we do have some sites where they have a whole bunch of resources in a digital folder for launches. And then also when we've had Capturing Kids' Hearts out here, we've talked about ways to launch, or when we've done professional development, we talk about creative ways to launch, because for secondary teachers, there's not a lot of time in each period, but a launch can be related to the instruction that's going on. And so we've talked about that. We just really need to be more consistent about that. Also, especially in secondary, students said they really want their teachers and staff to know them on a deeper level. So they want them to know that, oh, this isn't, Cassandra, and she's in my 6th period history class, and she's a pretty good student and always does her homework. They want to know, like, what does she like to do on the weekends? So that was coming from the students. And to President Kaminsky's point, the district office could be more relational. So that came forward on there. All right, so next steps, we're going to continue to train staff and leadership team members as people leave and new people join. We need to invest in continuing on our CKH training, because we have some people that are not trained. And then also continue to prioritize the implementation of the Excel model. I think you all would agree that we have made a heavy investment in Capturing Kids' Hearts, so the expectation is that people should be implementing with fidelity. So that's all I have for Capturing Kids' Hearts, unless you have any questions for me.
Ms. Paxton, I do, and I appreciate the information. If we can go back to slides 3 and 4, we'll start on 3. We do have, and I'm not trying to pick on the district staff, but I'm just trying to understand something.
Mhm.
We have a 3.1 for the district culture and climate rated by site leaders.
Mhm.
Okay. We go to slide 4, and we have a 4.4 for climate and culture.
So that is in respect to how people feel about the district office. This is how they feel
No.
about the school site.
I get it,
Okay,
but that's a huge gap.
yes,
Because you said the site leaders are going to report high about their own school, but now we go to a 3.1.
yeah,
It's huge.
yes.
Okay, all right.
And it's also surprising that the teachers and staff were rated it higher than the site leaders. I didn't notice that before. I just saw the big gaps. I'm going to make a suggestion. You mentioned Mr. Intezari and Dr. Romero. When you two are having a bad day and you just need to get out, go to a school around here for 15 minutes and be with kids. Just be with kids.
And I mean, it could be instructional services too, I'm just going
Well, I
to
know-
say. Not
it could
everybody
be.
likes what we have to say all the time, so.
But you're out there much more often. You have a better opportunity to
And
be out
we
there.
frequently
But if you're
provide
having a bad
food.
day, Ms. Paxton, by all means, go,
Yes,
because being around kids, when I was principal of JMS, a lot of times I just had to get out of my office and walk in the classroom. You can ask Mrs. Boston, because she was probably the closest classroom to the office, so I was in there a lot.
and I bet it was just fabulous.
It
in there.
was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah,
And the kids were great.
I bet.
Now, lunchtime, don't quote me on that. But
They're middle schoolers, right?
they're right, that's right.
I have a quick question just based on that last thing, or not question, but have you ever considered doing a survey, or is there a survey question in there to try and help close that gap by asking, how would you like to see the district, support that culture and climate more?
Well, that would be a survey we would need to create and follow up on,
Yeah.
but, because this survey is not editable, but I think, the results of this survey, it does provide kind of more questions that we would be interested in getting some responses, especially now that we have a new superintendent. I think, that would be important.
Also, thought should have occurred to me earlier, I did ask Superintendent Lynch to give me some dates, because I need to get going back into classrooms and schools. And I know Clerk Wood, Trustee Cooper, the three of us have gone. It's harder for the others, but now our new trustee is retired, and he might be, it might be fun for him as well, although we can't, 4 of us go to one place at the same time.
No, but you can divide and
But we can divide and conquer.
rotate around.
And that would
Yes.
help seeing board members, because I know, last year it's been hard for me to, but it's easier now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think
he's
that
gonna
you
be-
would, when I'm doing these types of presentations, you would be like, I've seen that, or I know what she's talking about, I haven't seen that, type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just, and the board can do their part. Anything else?
This may sound off the wall, but at what time were the surveys issued or given, and what day? Does that makes a world of difference?
It's actually a pretty long window. So elementary completed their surveys in December, and secondary, or at least the high school, in January once they returned from winter break. For the district one, yeah, I don't know. It was open, so December or January, I'm not sure when they did. It doesn't give me a timestamp, when most of it did, but it had a pretty long window. Yeah, and I mean, in December, maybe they were feeling pretty tired, right? Or maybe
see-
people were asking for some hard stuff.
Well, like if it was the day before they were getting out and going somewhere, it might make a difference as when they're coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit of experience.
Or if somebody said, hey, I don't think you guys have done your survey, can you please get it done? I don't know.
All right, anything else from anybody? All right, item 4, approval of resolution number 01 FEB 25, Summer School 2025.
Okay, for summer 2025, TUSD proposes to offer summer programs that blend high-quality academic instruction and core curricular and/or elective subjects with recreation, nutrition programs, and social and emotional development. The offerings for Summer School 2025 will include the following: extended school year for special education students, also known as ESY, which will include 18 days of instruction from June 18th to July 15th. No instruction will take place on June 20th and July 4th in observance of Juneteenth and July 4th holiday. Instruction will be 4 hours per day from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and will take place at 2 different school locations. Our elementary friends will be at Tompkins, and our secondary students will be at the high school. And then we want to offer our high school summer school and credit retrieval, which will include 18 days of instruction, same date range as our ESY. The high school will be offering 5 credit recovery classes to students who are not currently on track to graduate or have failed a class, and online credit advancement. No instruction on June 20th and July 4th. And again, this will be 4 hours per day from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And then lastly, we would like to offer summer enrichment, 10 days of instruction from June 18th to July 2nd. No instruction on June 20th. And then elementary school students and middle school students pending. Our middle school students don't always want to participate, so we'll have to see about that. Have the opportunity to participate in 2 weeks of enrichment. Elementary will be at Tompkins, while middle school would be at the high school.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question. My recollection is we've typically done 19 days of instruction for summer school.
So the reason why is because just the way that the holidays fall this year, and the breadth, it is inclusive of those holidays. The number of days that we cover, we can deduct those 2 holidays.
Okay, and we're still good with
We're
attendance and the
still
state?
good
and
with the
everything?
state, yep.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
My question.
Trustee Christensen?
Yeah, my question is on the previous section. We had the approval of the agreement for ProQuest this summer. Is this besides that? Is this with that?
Yeah,
Is
it's a
this-
different program. So that's our ELOP, which is kind of like a daycare program for summer. So with ELOP funds, we're required to offer 30 days of services outside of the school day. It can be academic too. So outside of the school days. And so that's what Dr. Porter's program is. So that's a totally different program. However, kids in her program can still participate in these items and then go over to TILA where the program's housed. They will be running at the same time, yeah.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, thank you for all those specifics. I'm going to read the resolution. Resolution to authorize establishment of a 2025 summer school program, whereas the district desires to offer a summer school program to provide supplemental instruction to students needing remediation and/or enrichment in core academic subjects this coming summer. Whereas the scope of the summer school program will depend on student interest and enrollment, which are unknown at this time. Whereas the availability of faculty and staff to support a summer school program are also unknown at this time. Whereas Board Policy 6177, Summer Learning Programs, authorizes the superintendent or designee with board approval to establish summer school day and/or evening classes. Now therefore be it resolved that the governing board hereby authorizes the superintendent or designee to establish a summer school program that is consistent with Board Policy 6177 and ensures compliance with prevailing applicable health and safety guidelines to the extent practicable based on student enrollment and sufficient faculty and staff support. Do I have a motion?
Kelly, I make the motion.
Second.
Is motion by Vice President Kelly, seconded by Trustee Cooper, that the governing board approve this district resolution number 01 FEB 25. Ms. Barnes, roll call vote.
President Kaminsky.
Aye.
Vice President Kelly.
Aye.
Clerk Wood.
Aye.
Trustee Cooper.
Aye.
Trustee Christensen.
Aye.
Trustee Napier absent. Trustee Sweeney.
Aye.
Thank you.
There were 6 ayes, 0 noes, no abstain, and 1 absent. It is approved, 6-0. Item 5, approval of Citizens Task Force, CTF, nominees and appointees for 2025. Ms. Paxton.
The district seeks approval of Citizens Task Force members to serve on behalf of board members, schools, and community organizations as indicated. The CTF is designated to serve in an advisory capacity. They may make recommendations and provide input on TUSD programs and services.
I believe we have 3 on the list. Any questions or comments from the board? Do I have a motion for us to approve the nominees as presented on the attachment to serve on the Citizens Task Force?
So motion.
I'll second.
Oh, I didn't hear okay. It was motioned by Trustee Cooper, seconded by Trustee Sweeney, that the governing board approve the nominees as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Item 6, approval of Tehachapi Unified School District designated representatives for the Adult Education Block Grant Consortium.
Okay,
Ms.
this
Paxton.
is a long one on my end as well. So, okay, the Tehachapi Unified School District participates in the Kern Adult Education Consortium, also known as KAEC, for funding opportunities through the Adult Education Block Grant to support adult learners with education and workforce development. To comply with the consortium's requirements, the Board of Trustees must approve the district's designated representative to participate in KAEC board contributions. This approval ensures TUSD's continued participation, advocacy, and effective administration of adult education programs. The designation will remain in effect until revised or revoked by the TUSD board. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees appoint a district representative and district alternative representative for the Adult Education Block Grant Consortium. Recommendations include Bonnie Porter, Director of Student Services, as the district primary representative, and McKenna Liebgott, Adult Education Project Manager, as the alternate representative.
Any questions or comments from the board? Do I have a motion that the board approve the Tehachapi Unified School District designated representatives for the Adult Education Block Grant Consortium?
Kelly,
I'll make the motion.
Kelly, a second.
It was motioned by Clerk Wood and seconded by Vice President Kelly. The board approved the Tehachapi Unified School District designated representatives for the Adult Education Block Grant Consortium. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Future items. Anyone? I haven't talked to Superintendent Lynch. I mean, we've talked about this, but I didn't talk about it, bringing it up as a future item, and that's the expulsion process procedures. That's all I've got. And Superintendent, you will be sending us a updated list. I know some things have been taken care of, and others are obviously, because we gave you a whole bunch for your first meeting.
Yeah, I'll continue to update the list on our Friday updates.
Yep, great, thank you.
And I think this one's actually on the list already. And,
Oh, is it? Okay.
And I'm actually working with Melissa Allen already. So I worked with her for tonight's closed session and made arrangements to get together in the near future to discuss future plans for our process. So
Thank you.
It is in process. That's the update as of today.
And item 15, launch. Who's doing our launch tonight? Mr. Mock.
So the launch is actually not by me, it's by two SEAL team members that are now authors. They authored the book Extreme Ownership. If you haven't read it, please do so. And they're going to explain in this what ownership means and how you can get better as a team.
I started recognizing like what works and what doesn't, but it wasn't really until Task Unit Bruiser. We'd have training instructors be like, "You guys are the best task unit we've ever seen come through here," and it was interesting to me because we have some amazing guys in this task unit, but I had amazing guys in my last task unit too. So it's not really the talent factor that broke us out. It certainly wasn't that we didn't make mistakes, because we made all kinds of mistakes in Task Unit Bruiser and disastrous training operations where we had to come back and revamp our training process and make sure that we dialed in standard operating procedures. Just what training's supposed to be.
Exactly.
And
right? Exactly. That's the difference, really.
yeah, and that was it. It was this idea that we now call extreme ownership, which is we're going to take ownership of this. And instead of being like, hey, we're going to push back against people that are telling us we need to be better, or we're going to maybe even deny that we're as bad as we are, we're going to take a brutally honest assessment of ourselves. You don't ever tell my guys they're amazing, that's the best one they've ever seen, because that allows us to not get better, to not grow, to get complacent. So we always did that, and I recognized just how powerful that was to our performance. So again, we were never flawless. We made mistakes, but we learned from those mistakes. We got better, we grew all the time, and we were able to run circles around everybody else as a result, and deliver some exceptional performance on the battlefield with that attitude. And that's that mindset and attitude is the game changer. That's why we call the book Extreme Ownership. And it's what we impart to people as we see in the business world. And there's at the end of the day, there's what works, and there's what doesn't work.
In your business, and it's also in your life too. What can you do a little bit better? You attack those problems. You accept the criticism when it comes at you, which is so hard for everyone to do, myself included. You accept the criticism, listen to it, and then you modify. You make these little iterative changes, and at the end, instead of being a decent task unit, or instead of being a decent person, or instead of running a decent team, you can be the best.
All right, with that, have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Mock. That's a new T-shirt. Get after it. And it is 7:51, and I'm at item number 16, and we are adjourned. Thank you.